Hey friends, my name is Gabby Rosalie, and this is the Crucial Conversations podcast, a platform dedicated to self-fulfillment and breaking the cycle of wasted potential. Using the tools of perspective, knowledge, wisdom, and awareness, I, with the help of qualified expert guests, share free insight and proven strategies that lead to all forms of success. If you are ready to start investing in yourself and living the life of your dreams, because I promise it is possible for all of us, you came to the right place. Together, we will help each other level up and have the crucial conversations necessary to do so. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gents, whatever time you chose to tap into this episode. Welcome to the Crucial Conversations podcast. Today is an episode that I am very excited to record. It's going to be supercharged. And the reason I'm so excited is because I get to dive deep into the life of someone who goes way back into my life. So today I'm welcoming the first hard-ass coach that I ever had, Chris Follick. He taught me a lot of things in the sport of swimming and in life. He taught me resilience. He taught me discipline, fun, respect, and hard work. And Chris is now more than just a coach. He is the father of twin boys, husband to an amazing wife, gym owner, and fitness guru in Milford, Michigan. Chris grew up loving sports and being active and wanted to share that with others to improve their quality of life. He specializes in aerobically based CrossFit to help people improve their lives one training session at a time, as he puts it. And I, like I said, first knew him as a coach, and then he was a teacher, and now he's a business owner. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about Chris's journey from coach to teacher to boot camp instructor to business owner and now to husband and father while balancing all of those things at once. And we're going to discuss the journey of escaping the 9-to-5, how to initiate that, execute, and endure that process, and then how to balance work, family, friends, hobbies, etc. with time management and intentionality, and how to invest in yourself with planning and preparation. So expect to gain the strength and courage to take calculated risks and understand how you can have balance with a business and a young family if you are willing to put in the work and develop a plan to make it happen. Chris, welcome to the show.
Wow, you do me like such a service. That is such an intro. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Happy and humble just to give any advice that's just worth listening to for your audience, your listeners. Thank you for having me.
Like I said, you were the first hard-ass coach that I had, and discipline was a big thing. Like, I remember on the swim team, you were the scary coach. You were the one who was going to make us work hard. You were going to be the one who was going to push us to our limits, challenge us, etc. But you were also there to raise us up and applaud all of our successes and everything like that. But I remember when I was young, I was kind of obnoxious, problem child at times, right? Riley and Veronica and some of the girls I grew up swimming with, they always joke about the past and how I would be swimming and I would have to get out because I would be causing a ruckus or whatever. And you'd be like, Gabby, I'm not doing this right now. You're getting out. We're not having this. Just stop. Get out. You're in timeout. You're staring at the wall. You're the first coach who ever did that to me. Do you remember that?
I remember for sure. And you know what, maturity on my part, now I'd probably handle things a little bit differently, but at the time that's what I knew. And, it's just part of my journey and growing as a coach. And I can reflect back on that and just see how I've grown too. So sorry if I scarred you, but definitely makes for a good story for sure.
Not at all scarred me. I was like, this is the guy who's going to put his foot down and not put up with my shenanigans. So no, not at all. I'm super excited to talk about all the discipline because that word is synonymous when I think of you. So we're going to start out with a question that I am starting to ask a lot of guests that I bring on the show because I think it's a really good way to kind of steer the conversation in a direction that draws on the guest strengths and their unique wisdom. So if you could give your younger self, the one who was maybe just starting out your journey, any piece of advice, what would that be?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about this before we jumped on. I've got two things. One is just simply trusting the process and being patient. I think when you start any new venture, whether that's in business or with your family or a new job, you just want to get, I say to the end, but you want the good stuff and you want it now. In this instant gratification of Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever. It's so fast. And so just trusting that process and being patient in doing the work, that's something I want to keep emphasizing to myself now, but especially to my younger self. And then the other thing is fear is a mile wide and an inch deep, right? So we might look at the path ahead and we might think that there is no way that we can possibly conquer that mountain or that ocean that you kind of see of obstacles in front of you. But once you start taking action, you might find that that water, that ocean, that river, that mountain is not as big as you think it is. And you're going to cross that. You're going to surmount that obstacle or obstacles by doing that work. And so those are the two pieces of advice that I would tell my younger self, but I'd also tell your audience for sure. They've been really helpful for me, especially lately.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first one, trusting the process and being patient, it's like screaming at me. And my word for the year, because I like to choose a word that sets my intention for the year. And for 2024, mine was trust. And a big part of that was to trust the process. I wanted to trust God. I wanted to trust myself. I wanted to trust other people, but I really, really wanted to embrace and trust the process because you mentioned Instagram and all of the things that we're so overstimulated with and just this oversaturation of instant gratification nowadays. And I feel like even me, who I like to pride myself and say that like I'm pretty self-aware and I know how to use the tools of your brain to not only be successful, but also enjoy your journey along the way. But I find myself falling into the, I want results now, immediately, very often. And it's like, for example, getting started in my podcast and kind of this more of an, like coaching in terms of life and business industry that I am now in. It's like I want to be great immediately, and I want a bunch of clients immediately, and I want sponsors immediately. And I know that that's not the case, but it's just funny that you brought that up because that's something that is like top of mind for me going into this year. And so I think that'll be a good topic to expand upon a little bit as we go into our conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And just, like as you are a coach, like I have been, and I still get to be one. And I'm just going to encourage you to, keep trusting in, like you mentioned earlier, trusting in God. And he has a plan for you. He has a path for you. And sometimes, like for me, that takes some of the pressure off. Just knowing that not everything is in my control. It's in his control, and it's in his hands, and it's his plan. It's his design. And so when I'm stressed, I just like give that to him. And I'm like, you know what,
Absolutely.
man, like your plan, not mine. I'm just here to do your good work. And whatever blessings I get out of it is just a bonus. And that's been really helpful too. So love that we're on the same page with that trust bit. It's pretty cool.
I mean, just to take it a step further, I was having a conversation with my brother, Zane, actually last night. And we were just kind of talking about how we always feel like we're in this pattern of we want to achieve more. We want to achieve more. We're great students. We're great athletes. We're great friends. We're great, whatever, children. But it's like we want more, and we want to be more and succeed more. But there is a balance that has to be found, and letting the God, the universe, whatever higher power it is that you may attribute your faith to do the work, because there's like this yin and yang, and the balance of that energy. I know that my problem, and I would assume your problem, is not necessarily doing the work, but it's actually releasing the control and allowing God to do his work, because there has to be some sort of a balance. Like you can't just sit back and expect God to do the entire thing while you eat potato chips on the couch, right? Like you have to do something, of course. But my problem is actually not the doing something. It's trying to do too much and trying to control everything and not leaving room for the opportunities and blessings that I don't have control over to come my way, So I think that it's a very interesting take on it, that like there is a balance, like it's yin and yang. You got to let God do his thing, and then you got to do your thing, and you guys work together. You're a team.
Yep. Constantly. Always a team. Love it.
All right. So we're going to get into some of the thoughts and the feelings and the ideas that you were having around the time that you knew that you wanted to escape the 9 to 5. I talked very briefly in your introduction from coach to teacher, then you were a boot camp instructor, and then you opened up CrossFit Justice. So I want to give you the space to talk a little bit about that and talk about some of those thoughts and those feelings that you were having when you were like, hey, the 9 to 5 is not really jiving with what I am hoping for my life anymore. And kind of go into that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I've always loved teaching and coaching and training people, students and adults for sure. But, through teaching, like in the school system, I felt trapped sometimes. And I felt that I wasn't having the impact on young people that I wanted to. And, as a teacher, like you can point the finger, like it's the evaluation system, it's the principal, it's administration, it's the governor. You just go on and on and on. Right.
Sure.
And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to play the blame game. I just knew that I wasn't truly happy. Whatever the circumstances were, like I couldn't get over it. And so I kind of looked ahead. I'm like, okay, what are my other passions? And that was in physical fitness in a variety of forms. And so, before teaching, I had tried it. I had tried being a personal trainer and just a swim coach, and I couldn't hack it. And that was before like I really had learned like the business of business. Right. So when I resigned from teaching, we kind of split ways mutually there. I was like, I need to learn what I don't already know, which is really nothing. So the fact that I can successfully run my own business now says a lot about how much I dove into learning the process of business before I even got there. And that's what led me to my boot camp instructor job, right? Where like, what, I want to use this in the best way possible, right? To, serve people, but yes, learn what I don't know. Is it like how to acquire clients? Is it how to train them better? Is it to have good relationship with my coworker? Is it to learn from my boss, my employer? Because she was doing that at the time. She had franchised and, I wanted to learn about that. During that time, I spoke with the then owner of CrossFit Justice. So we bought it from her about a year and a half after I started working for this Fit Body Bootcamp up in Fenton. And I sought this owner of CrossFit Justice for mentorship because they were a little bit different, right? CrossFit's different than bootcamp, but that's okay.
Sure.
But through that relationship, one day she calls me up and she goes, "Do you want to buy my business?" And I was like, you know what, this is what I've been preparing for. I didn't feel fully ready. I kind of had a plan, but it wasn't yet fully formed. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. let's send it.
Let's go.
And and it took, another 6 months from that to happen. So that conversation started in June, and we didn't take over until like the end of December of 2018. So, it was the process of realizing I wasn't truly happy or being effective in my teaching job, learning what I didn't know, and not just being at a job, but reading and podcasting and watching YouTube and seeking mentorship, putting yourself in a position to then make a decision and then just saying, you know what, I got to do it. I got to do it because if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. I think a lot of people feel stuck, and I felt stuck. But if I had been going for 5-10 more years, I probably would have felt that was next to impossible. So I can empathize with you, whoever you are, wherever you are, about being stuck. But the desire to get out and be unstuck was what I knew I needed to do. So that's kind of in a nutshell. Can I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, very interesting that she was the one who called you and was like, hey, do you want to buy my business? And I think that's why getting distorted in the process of trying to figure out the how so intensely. I just had a conversation with the woman that I'm living with actually in Costa Rica. Her name's Key. She's very wise. I've already learned a lot from her, but we were talking about articulating your what and your why, and my tendency to get caught up in the how of like, how am I going to make this happen? Kind of goes back to this control that we were talking about, and knowing that you have to let go and let God, but like figuring out what you want is the most important thing. And of course, associating that with your why. And it sounds to me, you've got a heart for people. You love being a coach, but you also love the autonomy and you love the creative like outlet that having your own business provides you with. But you did the footwork, you did the preparation, and you YouTube University'd it up like business, let's go 101. And you were not the one who actually initiated the transfer of CrossFit Justice over to you, she called you, but you had set yourself up. You didn't know that that was going to happen, I'm sure, until you had kind of sought her out and sought her guidance. And then you get this amazing phone call where you're like, holy cow, this opportunity is aligned with exactly what I want and where I want to go. You didn't have that all figured out, but that's the most important part, because if you don't have a what and a why, then the opportunities that come your way, you're not gonna know if those resonate with you, because you haven't figured out what you want and why you want it. Don't worry about the how, but you have to have that what and why, so that you know when those opportunities do align with you and they become your how, that you take them up when it's the time. I want to talk a little bit about some of the habits that you formed, like when you were about to make this leap and you were in that maybe 6-month kind of intermission of, hey, I know this business is about to be mine, or maybe very early on in the stages of your business. What habits did you form to allow yourself to be set up for success?
That's a great question. I think initially, you go from being an employee of like a school district, or you're working for like our coach Jeanette. She's really like one of my first bosses, right? Who's also a member at our gym. Little plug there. So cool.
Oh, no way.
And then, yeah, for sure. It's awesome. Love having her. And then having another boss, to then envisioning yourself as a boss or the head coach or the manager of this thing, right? So I think that was the first step. And envisioning myself in that position for about, the 6-month transitionary period. And then you get this job that I really bought that job. Okay. So that's something that I think people wanting to get into business don't understand, is when you buy the business or you create it, like you really bought yourself a job, and your new job, your new task is to get out of it and wear the CEO hat as soon as possible, right? Not to cut corners, right? But to make a good livelihood for others and take care of the people in your charge, whether they are, in this case, my members, paying customers, or my like employees, like my coaches that work for me, or your staff that work for you, whatever it is. You are then creating that positive environment for everyone. But you can't do that if you're mopping the floor, if you're working every class or working every hour or making every coffee or whatever it is you're doing. Like, you've got to carve out that time to wear that CEO hat and make bigger decisions that are in the best interest of not just the business, but your staff and your clientele. So that's the one thing that I am still working on and still learning and trying to envision, like the how am I going to make that happen? I've done it to some degree. I've gotten out of some of the lower value roles, but that's what they are. They're lower value than previously. But fulfilling that CEO role has been a cool transition, has been a cool change.
Yeah. And I know that when I was managing the Goldfish in West Bloomfield, while I was there, that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn, was that if you're not freeing up your time and your energy to lead people, you're not going to lead a successful business. If you're trying to wear every single hat, and there's two types of people in working in their own businesses. It's you run a business or you work at your own business. Like, there are two different, types of vibes, and both are business owners. But if, like you said, you're mopping the floor, you're making the coffees, you're doing everything, you're working at your business. You're not running your business, you're working at your business. And you're actually doing both, but it's like you're not freeing up the time and space to truly and effectively lead. And I think too that one of the most powerful activities that I did while I was in that position, and I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life, is the delegate and elevate activity. Because when you kind of section off the things that you love and you're good at, the things that you don't really like but you're good at, the things that you don't like and you're not good at, and then maybe the things that you don't like but you're bad at, I don't know. And you have to figure out which of those you're able to delegate to members of your team who have the strengths and the unique qualities to show up and excel in those areas, because then you free up more time to do the things that A, you love, and B, you're good at. So the goal is to delegate the things that you're not good at and that you don't like doing, and probably the things that maybe you like doing but you're not good at. Like, that's the goal, is delegate those things. And then you free up your time and energy to do the things that not only you're good at, but the things that your business needs you to be present in order to succeed. So yeah, very, very important transition.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Next question that I have for you is less of a question and a little bit more about one of the other habits that you had mentioned to me before we hopped on this recording studio session. So we were talking about the importance of intentionality, and you had mentioned something that you have integrated into your weekly habits called Momentum Mondays. So I want to talk a little bit about what that means. What does that look like for you?
For sure. Yeah. So one of my mentors it's called Two Brain Business. It's the biggest or largest, most successful mentorship organization on earth for gym and boutique studios. Okay. So they were created like several years ago, but my mentor there at the time, Jay Rhodes, is like, I'm going to challenge you on a Monday to send me 2, maybe 3 tasks that will help you grow your business and help more people. And on Friday, I want to see you post on the Two Brain Business Facebook page, like the group that I'm in, whether you accomplish that or not, or accomplished it to what degree. So I started doing that. I changed mentors, and I'm with this guy named Storm Strout. And I said, hey, Jay gave me this really great idea, and I want to keep doing it with you. He's like, brother, I'm all for it. So I maintained that habit with my new mentor. And then I passed it on to my staff. I'm like, hey, gang, like, this is our goal as a staff, as a group, as a team for like this week. While you coach, I want you to talk to each person 3 times, like give them 3 coaching cues, 3 corrections, right? I want you this week to make sure that we're greeting everyone by name, when they walk in the door and have a smile on your face. If you have a personal training session, make sure that you have all of their equipment like lined up, ready before they walk in the door. Things like that just improve our quality of service. And then in that note to my coaching staff, like I say like to them what I am doing to help either serve them or the business. And it holds me accountable, right? So it's not like, oh, Coach Chris, owner Chris is saying like, do this, that, and the other thing. Like, who does he think he is? It's like, no, I'm doing this while he's doing this really big building task for us to keep the doors open, the lights on, the heat on, members coming through the door. And so it just has this level of transparency and honesty and fulfillment at the end of the week to know that we as a staff or myself have accomplished something. I don't want to say we can check off the box, but as people, like, we're very like gratification driven. And so to say that I'm going to do something and then have proof that it is done is really gratifying. And to know that my staff and my family and our clients have benefited from it, like, that feels awesome. So, that's just, it's just something I really enjoy. And being able to plan that out in advance and have the accountability to do that on a daily, on a weekly basis. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And I think that in order to do that with the best intentions of your business and your teammates and your, employees and your members in mind, you have to have the heart for it. Your why has to be bigger than just, I want to be a big time business owner. I want to be successful. I want to be it has to be about the bigger picture, because when you lead a team, you're helping to open up and cultivate opportunities for other people and your members as well in your industry to come into the better versions of themselves. It's not all about you. And so people who want to open their own businesses, they want to be their own boss, they want to, whatever that looks like, I think it's really important to ask yourself, if you are feeling that way, like you want to escape the 9 to 5, you want to start something for yourself, what is your why? Because there is a component, of course, we all want that freedom. We all want the creative space to be who we are and be our own boss, because there is a little bit more freedom in that. You want the autonomy of your time as well, and maybe unlimited upside in terms of finances. But the why has to go a little bit deeper than that, a lot a bit deeper than that. And it has to, in my opinion, be more about the impact that you're making on the lives of the people that you're working with and working for. Because if you don't have that, it's all about you. And not only can your team members really feel that, like you said, if you're just barking tasks at them and they don't see you doing things with intentionality or whatever, a good heart, then they're gonna recognize that real quick. But when you lead a team and you're integrated into the process because you're really, really invested in the impact that you're making, that is just as recognizable. And your team members are so much happier to help participate in making that dream a reality, because then it becomes their dream as well. So yeah, I love that.
Every 3 months, I meet them and we have like an evaluation, like how are they actually doing, like on the floor and with our members and with the tasks that I've given them, but also where they see themselves in our business, like what cog do they fill. I say that with the best intention. Like I say, hey, like what is your perfect day when you come in here and you go to work? Like what tasks do you want to be doing? And some are like,
Yes.
I just want to coach classes. Some are like, hey, I want to coach class, but like that person over there, like could really benefit from my personal training expertise. Or I've got a young lady who she's excellent with she's like our human resource chick. And I'm like, you go, girl, because that's something that like I don't always want to do, but I wouldn't have known that if I didn't ask her what she wants to do and how she wants to serve. And so to have a key player like that on the team just makes everybody that much better. So just willing to have conversation.
100%. And being able to analyze the strengths of your team members to be able to allow them to do the work that they enjoy and the work that they're good at. Because I know that there's so many things when I was managing that swim school that I knew I was not good at, and I knew that I didn't like. But there were members on my team that were so much better than I could have ever been in those areas and enjoyed doing those things. So exactly, when you ask what does an ideal day look like for you, and they're listing off things that you're not good at as a leader, you're not good at, or maybe you don't like doing, it's like, why would you not delegate some of those responsibilities to improve not only their, satisfaction with the job, but also their overall degree of fulfillment? So I think that's really important to have those like catch-up meetings.
For sure.
And you actually touched on, with those conversations, the next thing that I wanted to ask you about, kind of in terms of intentionality, but thinking about your perfect day and writing it down. So we kind of talked about this when we were coming up with an outline for this episode. So what is the reasoning behind that, and why is it so important of thinking of your perfect day, envisioning it, and writing it down?
I just think it helps you stick to your values. Like we make decisions based on what we value, whether those values like explicitly clear or not. Right. So if a member tells me hey, do you want to, come in and do that session at, 6 a.m. and they say no, I'm like, that's perfectly fine. No judgment against that person. I say, like, how come? Like, you just get curious, right? Go, well, that's just too early. It's like, okay, well, that tells me that they value sleep, as we all should. It's one of the key components to recovery, right? But that's where, right at that time, their value is. So kind of to backtrack is, with your perfect day, writing down what your values are, and that will dictate what your day holds for you. So, if I'm waking up, today was my day off, right? I woke up to a kid crying. I'm like, that's fine, because my value for today is to be with my family and to be present with them. And so I created the opportunity yesterday, and trying to do this moving forward with one of my staff members, and they were willing. I said, can I switch you Thursday and Friday mornings so I can have more time with them leading into the weekend? And she's like, awesome, because that lets her spend more time with her family. So I was able to do that with the boys this morning and my wife. We had a good cup of coffee. We fed them together. They took a nap. We both did our workout, something else that we clearly value. We took them to the pool, something that, time, that quality together. And then tonight she's going to go in and work. and I'm going to take care of the boys, right? Because I want to be a present father. So just having that down and written as well, and it's on my bathroom vanity. And at the top, it says win at home first.
I love that.
So it dictated my conversation with my coach yesterday, and it's going to dictate the foreseeable future of my Friday morning, my whole Friday, right? And I wish I could take credit for that win at home first. But of course, it's from somebody wiser than myself. It's a guy on my staff. He's got two teenage boys, one in like late middle school, the other at Catholic Central. And that's all him. And he told me that like very shortly after he found out that we were having the boys. He pulled me aside, and we were at the gym, of course, good conversation over a barbell, not a bar. And he's like,
Love
just
that.
man, win at home first. I was like, I feel you. And so just having that written has really helped form my habits over the last 9 months, at least in terms of my home life, my family life. Business life, a little different, but when my home life is right, usually my business life is much better, for sure.
That's awesome. And I totally agree. I say that all the time. Like if I am showing up in my relationships, and that also includes my relationship with myself, working out, eating well, then I am better in all other areas of my life. Like I need to show up in that form of, okay, I'm able to reciprocate the time and energy for my loved ones and for myself. And then I can think about things that have to do with business or with fun or whatever. And I love your emphasis on values too, because when we think about our perfect day, what is guiding us in that vision of what our perfect day is? It's what we prioritize and what matters to us. What do we value? And so when I had kind of brought up this question, I was thinking in one way of think big, because the entire process of envisioning and allowing your imagination to steer you in the direction that you want your life to go, we can't make what we can't imagine happen. So think big. My dad always says this to me. He's like, think big, because you cannot make a reality out of what you can't imagine. So think big. Like people always say, if money didn't exist, what would you do? If this time didn't exist, what would you do? Whatever. Think big, because what we can't conceptualize, we can't make happen. So that is one degree of why visualizing your ideal life and your perfect day is so important. But also it really does. It ties you back into a more fulfilling life for you, and then also immerses you into more opportunities to connect with your loved ones when you resonate with your values and allow your day to emulate what that looks like. So I really like your emphasis on values a lot, because I didn't think about that when I first thought about this question.
Awesome.
Super cool.
That I could kind of provide some insight on that. And it's just, I've got, the win at home first, of course, but then below that, I've probably got 5 or 6 other just habits that I want to focus on that'll help me just with my physical life, just with what I can do, things that I'm proud of. And then, yes, of course, like my values business wise and who we're trying to help. And so I get to see them, multiple times a day, but especially twice a day when I brush my teeth in the morning and at night. I make sure I read that. So it's always front and center. I don't hide that away. I don't have it, I use my planner every day. I'm old school. I'm a paper pencil guy. I'm always going to be that way. I don't hide it in there, because for some day that I don't open it up and I don't need to, like today, I'll still get to see that list because it's in my bathroom, right? So don't hide your habits, don't hide your goals. And so my wife, she holds me accountable to that too, because she can see them. She's like, oh, I noticed you didn't take that cold shower for a minute, like you mentioned wanting to do. I'm like, yeah, damn, I didn't do that. You're right. So having that accountability person from someone you not only trust, but that you respect is a really key component to that, to allowing someone to hold you accountable, especially when it's not easy, right? It's like, man, I didn't sleep well. She didn't sleep well because of the kids or whatever it is. Had a hard day at the gym. Maybe a client caused you some grief or whatever. It's just, hey, you're doing that ultra marathon in August. You get that running today? Like, All right. You know, she's like, well, I'll take care of the kids for the next hour while you go out, like hammer out 5 miles or
Aw.
whatever it is. I'm like, all right, you're awesome. But the person that allows you to grow into those habits, into that perfect day with them, that's a really powerful tool, because it's not just you doing it by yourself. You have a multiplier,
Mhm.
and that's either your partner, your spouse, your kids, whatever. And that's huge too. So never underestimate the help of somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, and that could be a whole another episode topic, and maybe I'll have to have you both on and just talk about building those habits and allowing another person to hold you accountable. Because in a relationship, I mean, God, that's so important, especially when you're balancing all of the things that you're balancing. I know that you guys all have your own passions and activities, but you run a business, you've got a family, you've got your relationship. So I mean, that's again a whole nother topic for another day, but so important. And I love that you said allowing other people to hold you accountable, because you have to you have to give the green light for someone to say, hey, you didn't go on your run today, and then you have to make the conscious decision not to become defensive, because they're not criticizing they're just trying to uphold their end of the bargain of holding you accountable and allowing you to maybe look at something with a new perspective, or have to come to terms with the fact that you didn't go on the run, but we have to allow that. So that's huge.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Like, she knows how I am when I don't uphold my values, like, to myself, and I'm a worse person when I don't. And she doesn't deserve
Yeah,
that. My boys don't deserve that. My clients don't deserve that. So when she creates space for me to uphold and live out my values, then I'm happy with myself, and then I can go serve others. Right?
that's
It's
awesome.
just it's so cyclical. Yeah, it's great. So I love the opportunities that she gives me and that I'm able to give her.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, you have a great heart, and you have a serious heart for people, and you attract that. So it's awesome that you guys are in this mutually beneficial relationship, because you are that. And so it's beautiful to see that you've attracted that, because I mean, it's the foundation of life. You attract what you are. And so be a good person, you're going to attract good. So I love that. Um, the the next question that I have is a little bit about burnout. So when you start a business, it doesn't matter what industry you're going into. Initially, it's going to be a lot of work and no return in the very beginning stages. And we talked about this instant gratification early on in the episode, but I want to talk to you a little bit about how you avoided burnout at the stage of first starting out. And there's burnout opportunity at every stage, right? But how do you avoid that? And what are some of the things that you keep in the arsenal of tools that you use to stay on top of your game and avoid that burnout?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I had burnout for sure. Like, right in
Oh
the
yeah.
beginning, like, we are so eager, we think that we're gonna take on the world. You are just fueled by your enthusiasm to help and to serve others. But when you're coaching every class at 5:15 a.m., 5 days in a row, and it's just you, like, there's no way that you're gonna escape burnout. So
Hmm.
one, recognizing that you need others early on is huge. So that helps get you a little ways down the road, but you're still managing that. You're still wondering if they're going to call you at 4:45 in the morning and be like, "Hey, I'm sick. I can't make it." You're it. Unless you're going to close the gym,
Mm,
you're going to have some really unhappy people. So even
you're
then,
it,
like,
man.
you are still not free and clear. So, but relying on others early on. But even before that is seeking a mentor. So I don't care what business you're in, like, there's mentorship for it. Seek that out. And I'm not talking like a Rotary Club, which those do exist, where you got coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning with a bunch of local business owners, and it is great to commiserate and share your struggles and your triumphs, and those things are awesome. But if you have your vision and it is written down, and even if it's not, like, just finding a mentor who has lived your life, has lived in your shoes, that's the kind of mentor you should be seeking in the
Mm,
same field, and has solved the problems that you are facing or are going to face. That is invaluable. And I pay for my mentorship every single month. And some people are like, why do you pay for it? Like, because if I don't pay for it, like some people pay for a gym membership, they won't go. They won't do the work.
Yeah.
right? And so I pay like hundreds of dollars a month to this person and to this organization to ensure that I am successful, which then leads my members to be successful because they have helped me solve issues that I am facing or help solve them before they even occur, which that like you're buying your time back. And so it's
Mm.
just a force multiplier. So I did that with Two Brain probably like right around the year mark. I had consumed all of their free content beforehand, so I knew some stuff going in, which was great. But I would have liked to have budgeted some money ahead of time to pay for them for like from day one, because that would have helped me. Like I would have been like I'm in year 6 now, like of ownership. I might be a whole year ahead on my level of success if I had done that,
Mm.
right? So I think that's the biggest piece of advice that I could give is get mentorship from someone in your field who has done it before, who is where you want to go, to just help you get that balance and avoid burnout as quickly as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, and initially, it doesn't have to be, hundreds of dollars. Like you found the mentor that works for you, and I love that. Like you pay for a gym membership, you're paying for your mentor because it's going to hold you accountable. But a mentor does not have to be a magnanimous financial investment initially. There are people that you can seek out. Like you said, you consumed the free content before you started paying for a mentor, and there are Facebook groups, and there are people that you can connect with, and you can simply ask for an informational interview. That was a thing Riley actually talked to me about when she was getting started in, her business after she graduated from college. She's in social media management now, and she does virtual assistant work and everything, but she would reach out to people and she would ask them for an informational interview. So it was like she was actually interviewing them, and it was totally free. And some people are not going to have the time or the space for it, but putting yourself in a place where you are actively seeking out mentorship, it does not have to be a huge financial investment initially. Like there are different avenues that you can derive the wisdom from people in your field without having to put a huge down payment down. And eventually you might get to that point, but you can start out with that.
Yeah, for sure. And like I saw people that, other gym owners, and we helped each other for a little while. And I was like, you know what? That like this burnout thing is getting real. I've used all the tools that I think I can get out of these people. And I say that in the most humble way, like not using people. It's like, you know what? Like I just need to level up my game. And it was through paid mentorship. So you are exactly right. Going through that process. First, especially when money's tight, I know what that's like.
Yep.
Little plug here. Like I didn't take a check the whole first year of running the gym. I thought I was going to, and the finances just weren't there. So when you say starving artist or starving owner or starting business owner, like I feel you. I feel what you're going through.
Yep.
But to double down on that, that's how valuable mentorship was for me, to hold back that gratification and wait for it and put that money towards mentorship before really paying myself, because I knew it would help me out in the long run, and it has. So not being afraid to do the paid thing either. I know it's scary, but have some courage, have some faith in the process, trust the process like we talked about earlier, and it will pay itself back. It just depends on when.
Oh yeah. Long-term perspective is key in these things. If you're starting a business, you can't be thinking in the short term 24/7. You got to think long-term for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So one of the other things that we briefly talked about was taking breaks. So I want to hear you out on that. Like you're the business owner, you're wearing all the hats. You didn't take a check your first year. You're doing everything from cleaning to teaching the classes to paying the bills, everything. So how do you take breaks, and why is it so important to take them?
In the beginning, my break was when I didn't have clients and I was between classes and the gym was empty or very few people in there, like during open gym, and I would work out. And that was like my me time. So that was great. But as the business got more successful, you have one client here, two clients there, no time between classes, like the kind of busy that you want that feeds you. Like you can't
Oh
say,
yeah.
no, I'm working out right now. Like, no, you have to take those clients, right? It was being very intentional and saying, hey, to my wife, like, can I stay after for 45 minutes to get this workout in? And she's like, sure. So having good conversation with your spouse to stay healthy, or your partner, whomever it might be, that was key. Make it, as you kind of progress, you gain some success, you can pay yourself. It's maybe a short weekend getaway. Like my parents have a cottage, they let us use that for free, which is great. Or it's like, you know what, like we're going to Traverse City, we're staying local, we're not flying, but making sure, okay, all hands on deck. Chris and Rose are going out of town this weekend. Can we do it? Yeah. So like anything, being very intentional about your rest and guarding that time fiercely. Like, you've put in the work. Everything is taken care of. That I don't say you deserve it, but you've earned it. And take it, disconnect, don't check your email, don't check your voicemail.
Oh God.
Like, don't take text messages, don't check Facebook, don't check Instagram, turn it all off. Like, almost isolate yourself for 24, 48 hours and come back fresh and ready to deliver whatever killer service you are offering your clientele. Like, that's what we did. And now it's, okay, we can take a week vacation. We can do that now. It's still tough. We still got to have a lot of planning, but it is possible. And we are in year 6. So that gives you kind of perspective that 5-year timeline is an aspiring business owner. It's a very real number of when you can, I say, take your foot off the gas a little bit, but you don't need to be flooring it. You're throttling it intentionally in a certain direction to get a specified result. But yeah, it starts real small, and over time, when you've earned it, that time away gets a little bit bigger and for sure more restful. So that's how I did it. That's how our team did it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the power of truly isolating yourself from all of those things when you are taking your rest is so important. It's so hard to escape now. I mean, as a business owner, everywhere you look, even if it's Instagram and you're seeing how to reel on how to grow your business, how to, get more clients, like it's always going, and so you really do. You have to be so intentional about unplugging, and that does probably mean getting off of your phone completely and removing yourself from any distractions that might tie you back into work. Because as a business owner, I know for me at least, it's like I see an email, oh, I'm about to respond immediately. Like, I'm not waiting. I might be on a vacation, I might be whatever, but I see the email, I'm going to respond. So you have to set up those boundaries so that you can take that serious rest. So important.
For sure. And what's also kind of helped me is time blocking on my Google Calendar. So I get to the gym real early. My first class is at 5:15, but I might be there at 4 a.m. on most mornings. And I don't work every single morning. I work about 2 to 3. Okay. And so from 4 to 5, I have a lot of really uninterrupted focus time before members come in. And on that calendar on Mondays, I work on specific tasks, which are different than Tuesdays, specific tasks, which are different from Fridays, right? So I know that I'm going to get to the work. It just depends on when I'm going to get to that kind of work. And so that's really solved a lot of my frantic, I'll take care of this a little bit, I'll take care of that. And it's like I'm going in 1,000 different directions at the same time. That's not purposeful. It's not specific. It's not goal driven. I'm just reacting. And so when I started to do those tasks in the morning at set times, I could see problems coming my way with a lot more clarity, with a lot more time to make a decision and not just react. And then it buys my time back and it calms my mind. So yeah, it's early. It's crazy early, but that strategy has really helped me in a very big way.
Yeah. I think that one of the sayings that has rung so true to me my entire life, honestly, is that discipline creates freedom. So when you are disciplined enough to be intentional about, hey, I'm going to write these things down, I'm going to do these things in the morning, I'm going to make sure that I plan for this, I do this, I'm accountable for this. Yeah, it might be a lot of work up front, but you have to be willing to put that in if you want to reap the benefits, because after you have put in the work is when you then begin to bask in the freedom that it creates, but it's a little bit further down the line. It's not the instant gratification that you're going to be free immediately after you open your business, right? Like, but the discipline is what then creates the freedom. So you choose a hard life, whether it's easy first, hard later, or if it's hard first, easy later. Like you have to make a decision because you're gonna go through struggle regardless. And so it really, and hey, it's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to be a business owner, and not everybody's going to plan out their entire day and be so intentional enough to wake up and write what they want to accomplish down in the day and everything like that, and to each their own. But there is a conscious decision that we all have to make of the type of struggle that we are willing to endure, and what does that look like? There's no right or wrong answer, but that discipline in my life I have seen create more freedom than being like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna take the day as it comes, and I'm just gonna kind of be like a little leaf in the wind. And there's a time and a place for that, but for most of the time, it's that actually sets me up for more stress and more anxiety and all of that not so fun stuff than when I am disciplined and I make the time for things.
Yeah, totally. And the kind of quote that we're talking about, discipline equals freedom, that is totally like Jocko Willnick's book, ex-Navy SEAL. Like if you're, curious about what that looks like more in your own life, like pick that book up. Like it was so good. I was reading it probably like the month or two after I bought the gym. Just went to a local coffee shop. I had the morning off, one of my very few, and just got in there and was just reading it, just enjoying it, drinking a cup of coffee, and just is so invaluable. So if you want to dive deeper into what that discipline equals freedom mindset looks like, go check out that book. Shameless plug. I don't get any benefit out of saying that, but it's a great read for sure.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Love it. Well, we talked a lot about the time management and the balance and the win at home first, but are there any other maybe habits in terms of time management and balance that you want to review before I plug all of the information for how people can connect with you after today's episode? Any more insight on time management, because you balance a lot?
Just be exceptionally clear in what you want out of your life. Write it down. I know we've talked about that, but I can't emphasize that enough. In terms of making my life better, I ask my wife constantly, like, how can I help you? How can I serve you today? Right? Putting myself in a position, like I say beneath her, but like in a position of humility, because I know that I'm gone at the gym quite a bit. And when I'm there, she's usually with the kids by herself. And so if it means that I'm making her lunch before I leave, or I watch the kids for 45 minutes while she gets her workout in at our home, we have like a home garage gym, which sounds crazy because we have an actual gym, but like we have one in our garage. We don't even park in it. It's like she did that today while I was watching a kid, right? And we're both better for it. But asking my spouse how I can serve her on a consistent basis, and she to me when I come home, what can I do for you, like sweetheart, like awesome. Being on the same page is huge. So that would be my second one. Write it down and then ask your partner how you can serve them daily, and it comes back. It comes full circle every single day. It's awesome.
Aw, that is so awesome. I'm so happy for you. Like, it's so cool that I knew you when I was such a young little swimmer, and you were young when you were my coach. But I mean, it's so cool to see you growing into this just amazing person in so many different areas of your life. You always have been an amazing person and someone that I've looked up to, but just really cool to be able to connect with you after so many years and just see what a good human being with a good heart, good intentions, and discipline is capable of. Like, that is the coolest thing in the whole entire world. So thank you so much for sharing everything today, Chris. And before we finish, I want to give you some more shameless plug room to be able to allow people to connect with you after today's show, whether that's for gym things or for, maybe it is to seek you out as a mentor or something like that. So give us all the plugs.
Yeah, I would love that. Just conversations are free, right? And no contracts, no commitments, whatever. But if you're looking for, say, professional help, like in the gym, you live in the Milford Highland South Lyon area, you could go to our website at crossfitjustice.com and you could book what we call a no sweat intro. It's just a chat. We meet at the gym, we figure out your goals or help you kind of illuminate what they are and a clear path forward. And it's a free conversation. There's no workout involved. So I call it a no sweat intro. You don't have to, get down and dirty with it. Just come in, let's have a conversation. If you are a little bit further away, like, yeah, I can't get to your gym, but I have some health, wellness, fitness questions. You can always drop us a line at info@crossfitjustice.com. Would love to have that conversation. And of course, you can always check out our socials on Instagram. Just CrossFit Justice is our handle. So we got some advice up there, got some celebratory posts of our members. We're doing awesome things. No shortage of motivation there. So whatever your method of communication is, I'm looking forward to whatever conversation we get to have in the future.
That's awesome. And I'll make sure to put links to all of those things that you just mentioned in the episode description. So thank you again for sharing everything today, Chris. And I'm very excited for everyone to be able to hear this episode because I know that people are going to gather insight, whatever area of life they are looking to excel in, open a business, or even just gain some insight and skills on how to manage their time or improve their relationships with themselves or with maybe a partner. So very excited for everyone to be able to hear this episode.
For sure. Me too. And yeah, thanks for having me as always. And love to come back whenever you want me.
Hey, y'all. Before you head out, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode. And most importantly, thank you for making the conscious decision to invest in yourself and expand your mind. By doing so, you are helping to elevate us all to live better lives. By showing up and emulating the things that you learned in today's crucial conversation, you are inspiring those around you. If you want to continue this domino effect, share this episode with someone that you want to help to unlock their maximum potential. And connect with me on Instagram at crucial.conversations to share your valuable feedback and offer recommendations for what you'd like to hear in future episodes. I love you all. Keep shining your unique lights, and I will see you next time on the Crucial Conversations podcast.